What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Eddie Express DFS podcast, Week 3 NFL. Here's the cheat sheet for now. I'll get you access to the best plays, value plays, mid-range plays. Ownership will be attached to this usually on Thursday. Takes a little bit for the ownership to come in. It is only Tuesday, but we like to get our video out nice and early. Position optimizer. Before we get into this, click the thumbs up button if you're new to the channel. Welcome, subscribe. You can try out all the tools I use in this video 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Alrighty, quarterbacks. First two quarterbacks I'm going to talk about are Mahomes and Jackson. I don't have either one of them on my watch players tab. One, I just expect this game to be lower scoring, maybe like 23-20. And that's just not enough scoring for a guy that's 7,600 and 7,000. I just expect this game to be lower scoring. I just can't see a shootout in this game. Tom Brady against the Jets. Jets defense is actually pretty good. So I avoided Brady. First guy I want to talk about is Dak Prescott against Miami. Dak Prescott's been amazing this year. As you can see, 36.4, 27.8 or 28.7. He's got a projection of 19.7 against Miami. The only concerns with this game is maybe the blowout risk, because Miami's awful, but you could still see Dak put up a pretty decent number, I think, in the first half. Next up, I have Russell Wilson against the Saints. I like Russell Wilson because he's got rushing upside. The Saints' defense is not good. They've given up 28 points against the Texans, and then I think they gave up 27 against the Rams. So I think you can see Russell Wilson with a pretty safe 3-touchdown floor. Maybe he gets one rushing. But I like Russell Wilson quite a bit this week. Next up, I have Josh Allen, Mr. Consistency with rushing upside against Cincinnati. I think he had another rushing touchdown last week, so he's got 2 rushing touchdowns. Not the greatest throwing numbers, but with the rushing upside, I think that gives him a pretty safe floor of about 16 points. Next up, I have Phillip Rivers against the Houston Texans. Houston Texans are 24th ranked against quarterbacks, 22nd team defense overall. This is a home game for the Chargers. I think we could see some scoring in this game. You know me, I like playing the Chargers players. I just feel like they always play games in the 20s and 30s. So I really like Phillip Rivers once again. Next up, probably my favorite play of the week is Matt Ryan. It's a road game, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference because the Colts play in a dome. Ryan, 23-25. I think this is a great matchup. They're 21st against quarterbacks, 19th defensive rank overall. Matt Ryan's probably my favorite quarterback this week. It's going to be hard to get away from him on DraftKings. Next up, I have Carson Wentz against the Lions. Lions, 16th best defense against quarterbacks, 20th in the league overall. I think that Carson Wentz could make an easy connection, just grab Zach Ertz. The reason why I like that is because all their receivers are hurt. Jeffrey's hurt. Deshaun Jackson's banged up. So it really only leaves you with Ertz and Aguilar. So I think that makes for quite a bit of sense. The last guy I'm going to talk about is Jameis Winston. He hasn't been good. He's cheap, 5,400. The Giants have been god-awful against quarterbacks, 30th in the league, and then 29th defense overall. They just get no pressure. So Winston, I think, is in for a pretty good game. And the last guy is Aaron Rodgers. He's a little expensive against the Broncos. Broncos pretty good defense against quarterbacks and a pretty good defense overall. It's kind of just a feeling play. I don't expect to get a ton of him, but if I get a little bit, I won't complain. Running backs, obviously like Zeke Elliott against Miami. I think he probably scores at least once, maybe twice, before we start getting into the garbage time backups. You can look at a guy like Tony Pollard if you want to take a flyer value. Next up, I have Christian McCaffrey against the Arizona Cardinals. McCaffrey had a down week last week, only 7.3. Pretty good defense in Arizona, like I talked about last week. Good against running backs, 9th best in the league. 28th defense overall, though. So for a guy that does everything, if they're going to score some points, you got to include McCaffrey. Next up is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's been the best running back this year for fantasy purposes. He's got a 17.4 projection. Raiders have been pretty good against the run, but overall they don't grade out all that well. I think Minnesota doesn't lose games at home. I think they find a way to win this one. Dalvin Cook probably has a touchdown. Then I added Marlon Mack. Only a 13.2 projection, but he's got a decent price tag at $5,800 against the Chargers. Against Atlanta. Atlanta really struggles against running backs. They've held them to just 12th from a defensive perspective, and Atlanta has the 9th best defense overall. But Atlanta really struggles with pass-catching running backs. Marlon Mack does everything, so I think he's got a pretty good game inside for him. And then Saquon Barkley, just want to include him this week. I think this game is going to be a little bit higher scoring between the Giants and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been pretty good against the run and pretty good defense overall. Just 8th in the league and then 3rd against the position. But Saquon is going to have to do a lot here. You have Daniel Jones now starting for the Giants. That news just broke about 20 minutes ago. So I like Saquon Barkley and guys like Evan Ingram. And then in the value, didn't really find anything. I didn't really want to pay down at running back this week. So I kind of kept more to the stud running backs. Wide receivers, obviously if we like Dak, we got to like Amari Cooper against the Dolphins. Again, Dolphins' worst team defense and not good against wide receivers, 26th. Julio Jones to pair up with Matt Ryan. Like I said, Matt Ryan's probably my favorite quarterback this week. Julio's got almost a 24 projection. The Colts have actually been pretty good against the pass, but not really good overall. So, and a team like Atlanta that just airs it out all the time, I trust the team defense number more than I do against the wide receiver position. Then if we like Rivers, we got to like Keenan Allen against Houston. Houston has been okay against the pass. Decent against wide receivers, I should say. Not so good overall, though. We have Adam Thielen. I really like the Vikings this week at home. I could not include Kirk Cousins in my quarterback plays, though. He's been just too bad. I think he was 13 for 31 against the Packers. He's just got to show me a little bit more before I can trust anybody at quarterback. Like Cousins, I just can't trust playing him, especially with a guy that doesn't have much rushing upside. And I like Kenny Golladay. This dude is just a funnel for Matt Stafford. Eagles rank 31 against wide receivers and 26th overall. You haven't really seen Stafford look towards Marvin Jones a whole lot, Hawkinson a little bit, but it's really just Kenny Golladay. So I think if you're gonna like Stafford and the Lions at all, you're gonna have to like Golladay a little bit. Then to pair up with Russell Wilson, I have Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson going against the Saints. Tyler Lockett, speed guy. 27th against wide receivers and 24th overall for the Saints. Then, like I said, I like Matt Ryan a lot, so I don't mind getting Calvin Ridley. He's the guy that catches the touchdowns. He's got a pretty good, had a pretty good couple weeks here, 16.4, 27.5. I just love Atlanta this week. I really like Seattle too, so we included DK Metcalf again. So Seattle offense and Seattle's offense and Atlanta's offense are probably my two favorites to stack up this week. Then Nelson Aguilar, had to include him, 3,600. Listen, there's just nobody else for Wentz to throw to. You got Jeffrey banged up, you got Jackson banged up. We'll have to wait and see on the statuses of those guys. to see how much percentage we want to get of Nelson Aguilar, but I definitely want pieces of him. And then I went and grabbed Juju Smith-Schuster. Schuster has been disappointing, 13.8, 13.4, 6,900. Hasn't really been there this year. Mason Rudolph actually looked pretty damn good coming in for Big Ben last week. Juju has got a decent matchup. San Francisco's got a good defense, but they lack in the secondary outside of Sherman. They're more known for their front seven, so I think that you could see Juju get past the defense and have a pretty good game. Then I included Mike Evans. Like I said, I like Winston this week, and Evans has been super disappointing. He's actually cheaper than Chris Godwin. He's 6,600. 29th against receivers are the Giants, and 29th overall. Then I included Stephon Diggs. Like I said, I really like the Vikings at home, so I'm going to include both their receivers, but I'm not going to include the quarterback because I don't trust the quarterback to throw more than 2 touchdowns. I just think that the Vikings control the game at home. Their defense is amazing at home. The Vikings will win this week. Mark my words. And then I got Will Fuller. He's kind of my flyer play in this Houston, and I always want to say the Los Angeles Clippers, but the Los Angeles Chargers. Will Fuller, I think he's the deep threat. I think this game's got a pretty good chance of having a lot of points in it, so I included him. We get to the tight ends. Tight end pool was pretty short again this week. First up, I have George Kittle against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 23rd against tight ends and 31st overall in team total defense. Kittle's in a good spot. He's been kind of quiet for a big-name tight end, I see. I think he gets 100 yards and a score this week, putting him well over projection. Next up is Evan Ingram. This guy's just going to be the number one guy for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones in his first game, I think he plays it kind of safe to start, and I think that means that Evan Ingram's going to get a lot of the dump down stuff. They don't, besides Ingram and Saquon Barkley, they don't really dunk the ball down a whole lot, even though Eli was kind of a dink and dunk kind of guy. But I do like Evan Ingram this week. I think he's going to be the most targeted guy on offense. Then we have Travis Kelce against Baltimore. I only included him just because I think that Kelce is the it guy now that Hill is out and Watkins is more of a big play guy. So I think that he's got a safe targets of 9 or 10 this game. So I had to include him. I don't expect to get a ton of him. He is expensive. He's not my favorite tight end in the world, but I did want to include him. Next up, I have Zach Ertz. Like I said about Carson Wentz, he's just got no one else to throw to. Not the greatest matchup in the world. Detroit actually defends tight ends fairly well. Second best overall, but 20th as a team total defense. And then the guy that I wanted to get with Rodgers, if I got to him, was Jimmy Graham at tight end. Denver ranks 18th overall against tight ends. Pretty good defense at 11 overall. And then I included Tyler Eifert against Buffalo, but I'm probably going to take him out. He's cheap, though, if you need a desperation play. Defenses, I like the Cowboys, obviously, against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are horrible. Vikings at home. Vikings in home games are just awesome, especially the defense. And against the Raiders, I think you see the Vikings look there. 49ers, I like them this week as well. Their defense is pretty good. The only reason why I really included them is because they are going up against a backup quarterback. But I do like the Niners. And then if you're using an optimizer, like I usually do for 100 lineups, I take out the defenses I don't like. So I can exclude the Dolphins, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Lions, Raiders, Falcons, and then I just watch the teams or the team defenses I do like the Packers against Denver. I like that. And then the Seahawks. against the Saints just because Teddy Bridgewater is likely going to be quarterback. If Mason Hill's quarterback, I'll probably take them out. Actually, I'll probably just take them out. I don't really love the Seahawks this week. So we take all that information that we just created. We'll go into the lineup optimizer. We'll make a lineup on DraftKings, and we'll try and do one on FanDuel unless I forget. So on DraftKings, the first thing I want to do is I want to get Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. I want to get Ridley. I want all of Atlanta this week. Go get Zeke. Marlon Mack we can keep there. We'll go get a cheap guy in Nelson Aguilar. And we can get down from Lockett and grab anybody that fits. Let's see what that's going to leave us with. The Cowboys, I think, are just a little too expensive. They're in a good spot, but I think they're expensive. I'd rather get to the Vikings at home. And then a guy like Will Fuller. So Matt Ryan, Ezekiel Elliott, Marlon Mack, Nelson Aguilar, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Evan Ingram, Will Fuller, and Vikings defense. I think that's a pretty solid lineup on DraftKings. You can save that. FanDuel, I don't normally play on FanDuel, but I'm going to give you guys a look anyways. So Wilson, I like. Yeah, definitely like Wilson. Dalvin Cook, meh. He's getting a little spendy. I think you could safely go to Alvin Kamara for $300 cheaper. Obviously, if we're going to go there, we're probably going to want to get... I do like Mike Evans this week, so let's put Mike Evans in over here. Get up from Thielen and get... actually, probably get down from Thielen to get Tyler Lockett. Kittle, Galladay. I don't think I'm going to go with Galladay. Julio. If you wanted to go with 3 running backs, you could go Dalvin Cook. Cowboys defense. I'm assuming they're the most expensive. They are. Free up a little salary here. Getting a guy like... Go like Zach Ertz. Something like this on FanDuel leaves $400 on the board. Russell Wilson, Alvin Kamara, Matt Breida. Price tag came up on him a little bit. You could get a guy like Freeman if you really wanted to go all in on the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Evans, Aguilar. Get up from him and get somebody, I'm sure. And not really. I'd leave that in there. I'll get the Vikings D in here. So this leaves you $600 on the board. Gives you a lot to play with. Get you a guy like pretty much whoever you want at tight end. And then you could get up from, see if we can get Breida out of here. For anybody valuable. I don't really like much of that. Maybe a guy like Joe Mixon, but that's kind of starting to take a little bit of a flyer. Anyways, that's how we have it, guys. Remember, you can do a mass lineup generator. So we'll generate. This week we'll do FanDuel. We'll do a max exposure at 40%. We'll make 20 lineups for you guys real quick on FanDuel. We'll sort it by projections, make sure everything grades out how we want it to. This is all stuff that you can use at Draft Dashboard. You can try it out 30 days for $1. It's a free trial. So if you're interested in using any kind of mass lineup generator, this is how you do it. You can download the CSV file, import it right to DraftKings Lineup Builder, and you can have 100 lineups on your phone in a matter of 5 minutes. Doesn't take long to upload. It just kind of takes a little long time to enter the lineups in the contest that you want. You just have to go click on all of them. But anyways, so here we go. This is 100 lineups on FanDuel. Top projection is 117. Using my player pool, I'll give you a random guy or two. So my random guy was Miles Sanders this week, but Russell Wilson, Christian McCaffrey, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Kittle, Lockett, and the 49ers defense is the top projection. Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, McCaffrey, Zeke Elliott, Diggs, Kittle, Ronald Jones, and 49ers defense. I actually like that lineup quite a bit. Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Welcome. Subscribe if you're new. Thumbs up for the returning subscriptions. That always helps me out. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Good luck on week 3, and let's win.